Good morning, folks. Another installment of Moosey in the Morning. In case you haven't seen one of these before, I will give a quick rundown on what it is and why it's called that. But then after that, and today, I think I'm just going to talk about service dogs a little bit in using some stories of Higgins to what's the word I'm looking for, to examine an angle of it, I guess. But if you haven't seen one of our Moosey in the Mornings before, it's named that because Higgins came with a little moose from his breeder, a little stuffed animal moose, and he loves it. He still has it, and he has the habit of grabbing that or any other toy now, but he used to be strictly that one. He would hunt the house for it. Now he takes turns with his toys, but he would grab that one, pick it up, and then go running around parading it and showing it to everyone in the morning. And we would always be like, oh, it's Moosey in the Morning, and play with him. And I thought that was kind of a cute name for doing this type of a talk show, kind of like the idea is like a podcast where you don't have to watch it, you can just listen to it, and it's just basically it's my version of other channels will have like a this and that or a story time or something like that. This is just my version of that. It's when I don't have really a full subject, or I don't have where I'm really to the point on something. It's more of just a rambling, a talking, that kind of a thing, or when I have multiple little things that I wanted to put together just to make into one video. It's kind of that for my channel here. So today I just wanted to talk about a couple stories about Higgins. For anyone who doesn't know, anyone who's new here, he is my service dog. He's my second service dog. He's up on the couch right there. For anyone who is watching, you can barely see the top of his head there a little bit. But yeah, I'm just going to be talking about him, so there's not really going to be anything to see, so you can just listen if you want while you do something else. You'll be looking, for anyone who is watching, we'll be looking to the side a lot probably, because one of my fish tanks is over here, and I'm just enjoying watching them. But yeah, so I thought I'd talk today about actually about something that people don't talk about a lot, and about the service dogs making mistakes. Higgins is a phenomenal service dog so far. He's only just over 2, and he's already doing excellent. Very good worker. Loves doing the work. It's important that they like doing the work, because, I mean, if they don't like working, they're not going to work. So it's not a job that you could force them to do, even if you wanted to, which you don't want to, but even if you want to, you can't force them to do it. For him, he's multi-purpose, so he does medical alerts, which is scent work, essentially, as well as item retrieval and light mobility, a lot of different stuff. And some of that, yes, you can, quote unquote, make a dog do it, but especially for like the medical alerts, and especially his extra nuances that he adds to that, which help me immensely, you can't make a dog do that. They just want to or don't want to, and that's what makes a dog a good service dog or not, is if they have that drive to do those things. He has a drive to please, and that really helps with this job. So he's doing very good. It is December right now. In September, which anyone who watches the channel would have seen some videos from then, but if you don't, then that's why I'm explaining that. In September, we went on a a trip, and we went out west. And of course, for us, it was a vacation, but for Higgins, it's a work trip, essentially. But it was his first major trip. We've gone on like a few days trips here and there with him as a working service dog before, but it was his first solo major trip, I would say, like weeks long, of a trip. So I was really interested to see how he would do. Um, we were doing a lot of traveling. We were moving camp, and we were camping out of a tent, and we were moving camp almost every day. So it was very different from anything that he's done with me so far. He did very good overall. Very pleased with his work. But the thing is that he had just turned 2, and so he was brand new into learning how to do the mobility work. I had just gotten his harness like almost like a few days, not even a week before we left. So he hadn't had time to get used to the harness very much. He hadn't. I had been training him the wording and the positioning, like to get him in position for, forward momentum pulling and counterbalance work is mainly the 2 things that he does with the mobility. So I had started teaching him the positioning and the commands with that, but he hadn't wore a harness because we didn't have one, and he hadn't done any real work in that area because he wasn't old enough yet. For anyone who doesn't know, with the service dogs for mobility, it's considered proper to let them wait until their growth plates close, which I agree with. And in order to know that, you have to wait and then get x-rays done by the veterinarian to look at their growth plates to see if they're closed. So that's what we did. And actually, that's an interesting side point, is that I was under the impression that you have to get the OFA, I can't think of the term, but anyways, get the OFA stuff done, certified, for them to be cleared for mobility work. But I ended up looking into that because the same x-rays can be just done by the vet and it not sent in for OFA, because that is a extra fee and it's a lot more expensive to send that in to get the certification. And he's not going to be bred. He's actually neutered in the version of a vasectomy now. So he's not a breeding dog, and so there wasn't really another reason to get the OFA certification on him. So I just needed to know if his growth plates were closed or not. So instead of getting the OFA and paying the extra fee just to get it logged into the database and everything, we ended up instead going with just the x-rays from our vet to look at it and say yes or no if the plates were closed. And they were. So he was cleared to begin the mobility work like less than a week before we left on our trip. So he's going on a trip that he's not been on that type of a trip before, and he's also launching into learning a new job, a new part of his job. And he did so good with that. He doesn't care for wearing the harness very much. Like, he doesn't like it on him. It's kind of got to be heavy and bulky because it has to be sturdy, to support. So he doesn't like the feeling of it on him, which I hear it's typical for poodles not to like clothing or anything or gear on them. But he does like his sweaters, so I don't know if that's him or not, but anyways, for whatever reason, he does not like the harness, but he likes the work that he's doing when he's in the harness. So it's really interesting because he's like, you can see kind of in his face, like, I don't really want to put it on. But once he has it on, he goes right into work mode, and he found out on the trip that he loves to do the forward momentum. And because of that, I was able to do a lot more. We were able to do different little hikes to see different pieces of mountains and stuff because of him. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that without him doing that job. And then that he also was able to um, doing the same. Essentially, it's the same job for him, but a little different for me is him being able to pull my wheelchair so that Eric can kind of be free to do stuff when we're seeing something. Good example comes to mind is at the zoo. We were really working on training that on the trip at the Omaha Zoo. And so and that's his first zoo that he's ever been at. And so he's at his first zoo, which is a very difficult place for a service dog to be. Like it's very, with all the other animals and everything, especially the little animals, were very hard for him to ignore. Like the little mongoose and stuff like that were very, very hard on him because he loves to chase squirrels and rabbits at home. And so those were really hard for him to ignore. A couple different things were a little overwhelming for him. There was a bear that we had to work him through being a little overstimulated for that, and the gorillas were really hard for him. But he did really good overall, very, very well for his first time ever at a zoo. It was a very big zoo. And then he was also learning for the first time ever to pull my wheelchair. Like he had never done that before. And so a lot of first things all combined, and you typically don't want to do that. That's really hard on a dog to have multiple new things at the same time. You want to do one new thing at the same time. Not at the same time. I don't know why I said it that way. But anyways, one new thing at a time. But it just happened that way, and that's what we needed to do. And so, life happens. And he took it in stride pretty well and did just an excellent job. Very pleased with him. Now, all that to say, preluding, showing that he's doing exceptional, what I would say was be exceptional for his age, and kind of everything we're throwing at him for his work. Like he's really good at his work. And I was a dog trainer before, so it's like I might be coming at it with a bias because he is mine, but at the same time, if I look at it from a dog training point of view, he is doing excellent as well. All that to say, he's still a dog and he still makes bad choices because all of us make bad choices at times. And I haven't told anyone this, so you guys get to hear it first, but outside of family. But he made one very bad choice on our trip. And out of the whole trip that was like 20 days long, he made one bad choice, so that's pretty good. But it was pretty epic. We were touring, what was it? I think it was I'm trying to remember. I can't remember which state. I think it was Nebraska, but it was a state prison that you can tour there. Like it used to be a prison back in the day, and that was really neat. I think it's in Nebraska. I can't quite remember. It might be in a different state that we went through. There's a video of Higgins working in it on the channel already. But he did really good, except for one thing. We came out of the actual building, touring the actual prison, and we came out onto the grounds. And fortunately, there's only one other person around, and also fortunately, which I didn't realize at the time, there is a fence between the grounds and the road because there's a pretty busy road right there. So fortunately there's that, and I didn't know that was there at the time and realize it. I was not doing very well. I had multiple alerts running. I had cognitive stuff, mobility stuff, so I was in my wheelchair, and my thinking was not clear. I was not doing well thinking wise or anything. Body and system was really shutting down. We were kind of at the end of like, okay, we kind of got to be done, but we wanted to kind of go through this one last little side exhibit on our way out, and we're going from the main building to this other little building, and Higgins was telling me that he had to go pee, and since I was in my chair, there's a lot of like gravel walkways and stuff, so it was very difficult with the chair right there to get like off over to a tree or somewhere proper for that he could go pee. And so I handed him, he's still in his harness, but I handed him to my husband Eric, because I couldn't go potty him, which we do that sometimes, because I can't, if it's in a situation where I can't get over to have him go somewhere where he should. And so he took him, and he was going over to this